Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the global community of practice in climate change, our friends all over the world who are presently watching this event, I salute you. I am sure most of you must have heard things about climate change, but I'm also sure that most of you do not understand the full import of climate change. I'm also sure that most of you must have heard about the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, especially the 26th session that is coming up in 2 weeks in Glasgow, Scotland, where 197 nations meet to discuss, negotiate, and come to conclusions on issues of climate change. As the 26th section, that means that 26 years have gone by since this Conference of Parties was initiated, but it's 27 years because due to COVID, the session was not held last year. And at such discussions, Africa has never played a prominent role. So why is that so? The answer is not far-fetched. It's because Africa lacks a credible, powerful, focused, determined leadership to lead the African team into this global conversation about climate change that impacts heavily on Africa and a nation like Nigeria and a continent like Africa that has the least capacity to deal with the impacts of climate change. And of course, contribute less than 4% to the cost of climate change. It's painful. So based on that, we embarked on the journey. We said that we need a leader. We need a leader. We need an arrowhead. Somebody that will lead us as we go to the battle, as we go to COP26. Somebody who will speak the voice of Africa. And somebody who will not only speak, but will lead us to action. So today we are making history here, and we are going to crown that leader that is going to take us Africa, not only in the conversation, but in the action for climate change. The Reuters Foundation is not a new name in this country. The Reuters Foundation is a highly revered name in this nation. So the Reuters Foundation is leveraging all the works it's done to green all these activities. And today, we are unveiling the Reuters Foundation Green Initiative. It's not just enough to unveil initiatives. This initiative is actionable. It's not just an initiative like we have in Nigeria, but this initiative is taking action right now. So to take action, this initiative declared that the Reuters Foundation Green Initiative is a pathway out of poverty to be unveiled in collaboration with Zoetic Global USA, headed by no other person than Ambassador Jerome Ringo. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Jerome Ringo, thank you so much.
So the Rocha Foundation has already proven its commitment to the people of Africa. And when I heard the now senator speak in Washington, I realized that the impact was beyond Africa, and this gentleman wanted to impact change in the world. And I'm excited to be a part of this initiative. It is not just a lesson for Africa, but it's a lesson for the United States and China and India, where people are suffering as well. I know not of a more capable leader anywhere on the continent, and soon anywhere in the world, and the esteemed His Excellency Rocha. I am honored to sign an agreement with him, committing myself and my resources and all other resources that I can bring to the table to see this through. I'm not the tip of the spear. Your Excellency, I'm only a faithful servant. I follow your leadership because it's proven leadership.
Yes.
And I believe that we will be successful in Glasgow and all other climate conferences ahead, and we will be able to begin to reduce the impacts of climate change. Many of you will see as you walk out the climate clock that's up front. There have been 8 desktop climate clocks produced in the world. These clocks are counting down how much time we have left before the Earth's temperature will begin to rise 1.5 degrees centigrade, at which point we will have catastrophic disaster around the world. So based on that clock, we don't have much time. So we have manufactured 8 climate clocks, one of which is on the desk of President Biden. The second is on the desk of Vice President Kamala Harris. The third is being taken to the Arctic, that will be powered by solar panels, and these clocks are all synchronized. The fourth will be on the South Pole. The 5th climate clock is now in Nigeria. That climate clock will be presented to the President of Nigeria because of his statement on commitment to climate. The goal is to put a climate clock on the desk of every head of state in the world that is committed to climate. So far we've only made 8 climate clocks. As the global ambassador of Climate Clock, which I have been honorably appointed, I made the decision that we're going to break protocol, and we're going to award a climate clock to what I consider to be a pioneer in the industry. So at the Glasgow Summit in November, there will be 1 climate clock presented, not to a head of state, not to the President of Russia or the Prime Minister of China, not to the Chancellor of Germany, not to the President of Brazil. We're going to present a climate clock to Your Excellency. And I proudly will pass one on to His Excellency for your great commitment. And for that, I thank you. I thank Nigeria. I thank the world that will support you throughout this initiative. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen and fellow Nigerians, it is important that we understand what we're talking about. We're talking about an imminent danger that's about to visit humanity. Scientifically proven that a day will come when this earth may not exist in its form due to global warming, occasioned by constant pollution of the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, which has trapped the heat, and that's what's called global warming. Unfortunately, Africa has to contribute in cleaning the mess that they were never part of. This whole matter of climate change started 51 years ago, precisely 1950, during the Industrial Revolution, when countries like America, Russia, Germany, China, France were at the top of Industrial Revolution. They were doing so to take care of their citizens and to grow their country and better their economy and create jobs. Little do we know
that what they were doing there was at the expense of the rest of the world. And the pollution which took place in America took place in China. Africa, Nigeria has to bear the consequences, unfortunately. So now it makes a whole lot of sense to me that the world is a global village. Not a global village in technology, not a global village in benefits or economy, but a global village in disaster of the climate change. Climate change is not too far different from COVID-19. The difference being that climate change is predictable, while COVID-19 was unpredictable. But the disaster of climate change may be far worse than COVID-19. The only way we can dramatize the urgency of now on the issue of climate change is to remind all of us of what has happened with COVID-19 and how suddenly one morning the whole world was turned confused with no place to hide and our streets deserted, looking for a livelihood. Everything shut down. This time around, it might not be a virus. It might be the water level might rise and swallow everybody. It might be the sun might burn up everywhere like you have in California. It might be the flood in South Sudan, dissertation in the northern part of Nigeria. All this attributed to climate change, for which Africa was not party to. As painful as it might be, that when Africa is still battling with poverty, on how to survive to eat, and how to finally wake up to make use of their natural resources to develop their own part of the world. It is then now that the climate clock is clicking very fast, telling us we have 6 years left to take an action on this or face the consequences world over. So Africa is highly disadvantaged. But I see a little window of opportunity. Having been so blessed by God, I will still have a part of the world where we have greens also growing, where we still have our weather slightly intact. We can make the best use of it. And it's for this reason that I'm joining my hand with my brother Ambassador Ringo in partnership with Zoetic Organization and Rocha's Foundation Green Initiative to come together to champion this cause for Africa. I really would want to partner with you and to let Paul be the driver for this wonderful partnership. So for Nigerians, I'm holding this as a clear call for us to understand that as much as we worry about the insurgency of today, we should be more concerned about the devastation of climate change in the near future. We have what it takes to meet up with the rest of the world using the climate change challenge. What we may call a problem might as well become an opportunity to grow the new African economy. We have everything to go green. China now, in the next couple of years, there will be no more gas cars or diesel cars or fuel cars. Everything will be electric cars. Because the world has to do that. If we don't stop pollution, then one day there might be no air to live in. So why do we have to wait for Americans and the Chinese and Japanese and Russia to send us the used engines again to pollute our society? We have to start fast. No longer to use our nation as a dumping ground, but to go green as quickly as possible. This is what has given rise to the Rocha's Foundation Green Initiative, to take the lead, to create advocacy and awaken the consciousness of our people, to think green, to think on how we can power all our technologies using the free sun of nature. It is doable and we can do it. With people like Ambassador Ringo, I think we can see light at that end of the tunnel. Yes. But Ringo, Africa is not finished, and Africa will never finish. we've been addressed as the poverty capital of the world. We've been addressed as people with senseless leaders, corrupt leaders. There's no negative connotation for which has not been used to qualify Africa. But we accept responsibility. But I want to assure you that there will be a new Africa. An Africa that will lead the world in climate change, and we can do that. Probably we have not been pushed the world yet, but now we realize that we've been pushed the world. And that we have realized that no one can help us unless we stand up to help ourselves. So we're no longer going to be preached about climate change. We have to start the African-grown climate change programs. Yes. And one of such is the Reuters Foundation Green Initiative. We have a lot of young men talented who can build electric cars, who can bring electric water pump and build solar power. We need just to encourage them. But in this climate change arrangement, we don't want sponsorship. We don't want handsome. We want partnership. Yes. Because our pain as a nation, as a continent, is that we're the landlord that has become the tenant. Unfortunately, we're the source without resources. Everything that has developed China comes from Africa. Everything that developed America came from Africa. Everything that Germany used in their development came from Africa. And after they've used our resources to develop the mess again, we have to bear the consequences. What a double jeopardy on a continent. We have everything. We have gas here. We have cocoa here. But for my son to eat chocolate, I have to grow my cocoa. I can't produce my cocoa. I can't manufacture it. Then I send it to China or America to now manufacture my cocoa and return them back to me in small, tiny pieces at a very expensive price as chocolate. After the 10 years of waiting, and I buy it at expensive price also. That's what I mean. So Africa has been double cheated. And I think it's the time our leaders must rise to the occasion. Yes. That's our problem. So we ought to be the landlord, but when we become landlord, I become tenant. But very soon, we're going to recover our position as the landlord of the world. We're going to demonstrate this from the Reuters Foundation Green Initiative. One of the programs we're going to have is I want to launch the first ever international conference of Reuters Foundation Green Initiative in partnership with Zoetic.com. We're going to do that and call on talents now to come and see how we can catch up with this whole climatic change which the world is experiencing. Again, I want to use the opportunity to call on all Nigerians and African leaders to think green. This is not a mere talk, and it's not a talk as most people will think, because anytime they talk about climate change, what Nigerians think is that let us talk about what to eat first before we talk about what to do. Anyone who thinks that way is rather might be considered an inconsiderate human being who does not think about the future of our generations yet unborn. We must act now, and we must do it now to save the lives of numerous Nigerians and Africans yet unborn. If nothing is done in the next 50 years, we may not have a world for Africa we can be proud of. So, it's a wake-up call to all of us, and thank God that we have you here. And this clock, I'll be glad to receive it at Glasgow.
Yes.
And I want to let the rest of Africa understand how fast this clock is ticking. And if there's anything we can do to slow it down, we have to do that. Yeah. And the only way we can do that is to stop this emission and to stop this carbon dioxide pollution and free the atmosphere that our global warming may reduce. I know it's 1.5 degrees centigrade. We're in trouble. I pray that God is even mercy may allow us get to 2.2 degrees centigrade and manage our situation. But anything outside 2.2 degrees centigrade, we might be asking too much from God.
Too much.
Because nature has, man has fought nature, and nature is fighting back. Man has distorted nature, and nature is fighting it now. But let's not forget that nations that have benefited from this climate change disaster have a responsibility to support those who never benefited from that disaster.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's right. Absolutely.
China produced virtually what we consume. America, that 4% of world manufacturing power is consumed in America. Yet, Africa is zero. And now our climate has been messed up by what is happening in China and in the pollution. And no one seems to have helped us. Even our gas here is being flared. And no one has helped us to capture our gas to help produce cooking gas. So this is African struggle. It's not the best of struggle. And at the end of it all, our leaders are insulted for not doing well. But all the same, there's light at the dark end of the tunnel. A day starts a story, and a journey starts with one step. And this step is this partnership.
Yes.
We're going to sing this to the rooftop and let the world know that the new climate change champions have emerged in Africa and we have to drive it. I want to thank all of you, Your Royal Highness, the Sarikim, Babura, and all of you, and ambassadors. I want to thank you because the traditional rulers and our young men will have to take this message home and to educate our people. Every child in Nigeria ought to start earning a carbon credit.
Yes. Yes.
And the Green Initiative will request for land from all northern part of this country for tree planting campaign. Now for business, for carbon credit, and not just planting for the fun of it. We have 13.5 million children out of school. They can start education on Green Institute just to plant a tree.
Yes.
We can have a school for climate change, so they can plant even if it's plant even a tree to create job for themselves. So this might be an opportunity for the new Africa we're talking about.
Yes.
Rather than folding our hands and crying for help, we should rise to the occasion. Once more, I want to thank you, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this wonderful time. God bless you.